Welcome to this episode. I'm Rach, the Keto Vegan. Today I'll be showing you a really easy roast protein and veg dish. I make two slightly different versions. There's just one little difference, but it makes a big difference in taste. Find out which one I prefer. And with this sort of dish, just make a whole load like I've done, put it in little pots, chuck them in the freezer, ready for you to take out when you want, just for another little meal during the day. In this episode, I'm going to show you how to do a roasted vegetables with some protein. The protein I'm using today is the Vegetarian Butcher, What the Cluck. So the carbs on What the Cluck are 2.9 grams per 100, which is really good for this pretend chicken. For the Cluck, I'm also using sesame oil. I'm doing one pan with the Maple Grove Farms sugar-free syrup. There's a link where you can buy that underneath. I'm going to do another pan with the Truvia brown low-calorie sweetener with stevia leaf extract. I'm going to use liquid smoke. Again, there's a link for that underneath. I'm going to use some dark soy sauce. Between the two pans, I'm going to use 3 aubergines, 2 red onions, closed cup white mushrooms 500 grams, 2 green peppers, 2 courgettes, a bag of sliced frozen leeks, and a bag of frozen broccoli and cauliflower florets. I'm also going to put some seasoning and spices in there. So there's going to be some fajita seasoning, that's from Grape Tree, garlic granules, smoked paprika, and of course some salt. First things first, you can see me in the reflection of the tin. Hi, I am going to put the sesame oil in first. The oven is on at about 200, so plenty of oil. That's the lovely thing about keto, isn't it? So this is going to be one pan. Put that in the oven. And the second roasting dish, one is going to have the stevia sugar, the brown sugar in. The other is going to have the maple syrup in, both sugar-free. Whilst the baking trays are in the oven heating that oil, you don't need to prepare the What the Cluck because that's already in bite-sized chunks, but start preparing your vegetables. It's entirely up to you how big you want your chunks. So just cube it up, chop away. So here's the prepared courgette ready to go in, put that aside. Then get your aubergines, chop those up. It doesn't matter what order you do these in. So nice size edible bits. You might want them smaller, it's entirely up to you. With the size of your chunks, make sure they're comparable for roasting because they're all going to go in at the same time. So as if by magic, here's your aubergine chopped up into a whole range of different size chunks. Here are your mushrooms, chop those up, don't make them too small. With the mushrooms you might want to break them up instead. Entirely up to you. So here are the mushrooms broken up into the right size pieces. And get your peppers, big chunks for these. So how do you chop up a pepper? I take the end off like that and then cut them down to the top. Just find you waste less pepper doing it that way. So here are the peppers all chopped up. I'm now going to get the oil out of the oven and put the What the Cluck, one box of What the Cluck in one pan and the other box of What the Cluck in the other pan. So here's the oil, it's hot and ready. It's been in the oven for about 10 minutes at 200, but the oven's still heating up. Put your What the Cluck. So tip the pan so the oil is away. And then you can baste. Make sure it's covered. Doesn't matter if it's not completely covered. There's going to be a lot of turning of this as we go. So put that back in the oven and get the other pan out. So that's the second pan coming out and the next box of What the Cluck going in. Again, get them covered in the oil as much as you can. You might decide at this point you want to add more oil. That's absolutely fine. I am going to add more oil, otherwise it's not going to be high fat enough. So I'm putting some virgin olive oil on this as well as the sesame oil. With the keto, don't forget it is all about the fat content and the protein content. Back in the oven. Now get your 2 red onions and chop those big chunks again. Onions, big chunks. So the cluck has been roasting for about 5 minutes. I'm now going to add the frozen vegetables, half in each tin. The frozen leeks can go in. They actually need quite a bit of time to roast because they take a little while to get tenderized. Doesn't matter, no need to be precise with how much you put in each one. Well, you might want to be precise. I just chuck it in. Your broccoli and cauliflower florets that are frozen, you might want to put them in for a while and then cut them smaller, or you might want to preheat those so that you can cut them and then put them in. Because I like things easy and simple, I'm just going to, guess what? I'm just going to chuck them in. Now that's too big really, but that's okay. We can sort that out later. So some cauliflower in there, some broccoli in there as well, frozen. The idea is to keep things as easy as possible. Once you've done that, and then turn it all over again to make sure the oil is covering. You might decide you want to add yet more oil. See how it goes. At this stage, add some flavours and seasoning. And it's entirely up to you what to put in. I love lots of flavour, so I'm adding the garlic granules. Give that a shake all over, and I'm putting that in both. And your smoked paprika, give it a shake. The fajita seasoning, if you want. Plenty of salt, dark soy sauce. Lots of this, because you do want it saucy. Now the liquid smoke, the smell of this, I wish you could smell it. It is absolutely glorious. So far, each pan has exactly the same, I say exactly, not exactly at all. Each pan has the same ingredients in. This is now where I'm going to change it. In this pan, the silver pan, I'm going to add the maple syrup, the sugar-free one. So this is quite liquidy. So squirt some in there and then turn it all over. So you're really mixing those. You can see the pan is already full before I've even put in the fresh veg. So make sure it's all turned over. Put that back in the oven. And now with the second pan, I'm going to add the sugar. So you can see how much I put in rather than just shaking it. And it's pretty tricky to shake because it's like proper soft brown sugar. I'm going to sort of get spoons, as you can see there, and then just sprinkle it across. So the brown pan has got the brown sugar. That's one way to remember. So once you've added the sugar, give that a good turn. Make sure all the flavours are well mixed and the sauce. Again, if you want to add more oil, now is the time. I think I'm going to, at the moment, I don't think that has enough fat in it. They've been in the oven for about 7 minutes. Give them another turn to see how soft the frozen vegetables are. You can see there's a lot more liquid in there now, which is good. So get your peppers, half of those in there. Your mushrooms, half of those, or thereabouts. Aubergines, courgettes, and onion. Give that a really good turn. Add more oil, so the top vegetables that haven't been roasting are able to roast. Add more salt if you want. Second dish, add your peppers, courgettes, onion, mushrooms, and aubergine. Really baste them all. Put it back in the oven for another 10 minutes and then check. That's been in the oven another 10 minutes. I'm going to turn it over, baste it, cut up those big bits of cauliflower and put them in the oven for another 10 minutes, by which time they should be ready. That was the last 10 minutes at 200 degrees. The best thing to do, if in doubt, is undercook slightly, because you're going to be potting them up and then putting them in the microwave to reheat them for your lunches and your meals. Now for the taste test. So the brown pan was with the brown sugar. Let's have a little bit of that. So I'm picking up a bit of what the Cluck, tasting that. That's really good. I think I've got the seasonings and everything right. I have tried this a couple of times before. And this one is the one with the sugar-free maple syrup. I prefer that one. That's really good. So there's a link to that maple syrup underneath. Give this a go. Tell me what you think. What vegetables would you add? Don't forget they've got to be keto. What would you not put in? What other seasonings would you put in? For more recipes and ideas, follow my podcast. If you want me to do anything specific, let me know.